Okay, Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much for joining us today as we wind our last webinar on the autism series. I'm sure, like you all, I have learned a lot from these webinars, and the constant feedback that we get from our members about the positive effect in their lives and how they're applying these strategies. So thank you very much, Dr. Saima. And a little bit about Dr. Saima before we start. Dr. Saima Hussain Ijaz has a medical background with training in pediatrics. Her son received a diagnosis of autism in late 90s. And when he didn't make much gains under the advice therapies, she left a medical career to understand and learn about the available and the researched teaching methodologies for kids with autism and developmental delays available in Canada and United States to set up his home program. Saima, as a behavior consultant, has used AAPT to make skill-based, individualized plans for the home and school team of ASD children of varying severity with primary focus on developing basic communication, play, literacy, and coping skills by utilizing child's learning strengths and proactive visual supports. Saima has had voluntary involvement with the parent support groups, both in Pakistan and in BC, Canada, from the early 2000s, and currently volunteers and works for Family Support Institute of BC as a regional network coordinator for the Central and North Vancouver Island. FSI is a nonprofit organization that supports families in British Columbia, Canada, who have a member with any disability, any age, and the services are free for all the families. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Ijaz. Please start.
Thank you so much, Nazia. As always, thanks for the intro. I'd like to say that social connections improve our quality of life, help shape our well-being, and affect our everyday's functioning. And today's topic is what happens to these connections in the aftermath of the diagnosis of autism. And this could have been very well the first of the 6-session series, even though I'm putting it right at the very end. But I did that probably because in my own mind, I got so focused on those early stages and steps. And then I was thinking about the social connections, but it's definitely a foundation of our being. So it's last but not the least. So I'll just take a minute to start sharing. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So here we go. Today's learning outcomes would be diagnosis and emotions, right emotional support, acceptance of the diagnosis, dealing with disappointments, stress that's felt by the whole family, and family unit transformation over the time. The loss and the grief that we feel after the diagnosis of autism is not any different from what parents feel when a child with a disability is born. The difference is that sometimes the physical disability is so obvious to our eyes that it happens, then that loss and grief happens at the moment of the birth. So it's at that time, while parents of kids with autism usually feel it at the time of the diagnosis. And sometimes they feel after the therapies are failing and the improvement is not there. So there are different times that you might feel it. It could be broken into bits. It could be over a long period of time, and you can go back and forth during the different stages that happen, which brings us to the acceptance of the diagnosis. So initially there is sense of shock, like you feel disassociated, like it's happening to someone else. Then you feel, no, look at my child, he's perfect, nothing's wrong with him. So denial, it can lead you to getting second or the third opinion. There is obviously anger there. It could be on the medical system, like why didn't they say anything before? Why didn't I pick it before? Or just overall, why did it happen to me? Just angry with God and the higher powers. Depression, there's sadness of, what I thought my life would be and now what it's going to be. All of these are the natural phases, and it's okay to feel the way you're feeling, because it is a big thing to happen. Then there's a testing and decisions where we try to figure out what's next and make some decisions around it that brings us to acceptance. What we want to make sure is that there is not too much of thinking, why didn't I pick on this before? Why did I do something wrong? Was it because of me? Not to go into guilt or into lingering depression. That sort of keeps you into the same mode, and you don't progress and process it into acceptance. So during life, we all feel stresses, some small, some big, and we go through negative feelings, and we have different ways of dealing with it. Some like to cry, some like to share. There are someone in the family or a close friend that you like to connect with in those times. And people who are able to do that, they are they make that progress to acceptance earlier. So women usually they're more social, they're more emotional, they try to cry, they cry it out or try to share with others, and that helps them to process it. And sometimes it's just validation of the fact that this has happened. It brings them out of the denial to actually closer to the acceptance. Sometimes it gets them the emotional support, but not always. And not all women do that. I didn't fall into that category. I was unable to share. And but mostly men are in that stage. They can't share, or they don't want to share. They don't want to look weak by bringing out or accepting their feelings. So it's okay if you can't share. Try to write it out, use a journal, give it some sort of an output, which will help you to process and move forward. Some people just use work as a distraction. They get too busy, and it comes out later. So it's better to get it processed sooner than later. Some of the things that you can keep your mind focused to is thinking about it's the same child that was there before the diagnosis. Diagnosis hasn't changed him. He had these issues probably since birth. They were feeding issues. His sleep wasn't the best. There have been meltdowns. He has delays. You knew those. That's why you went to see the doctor. So those issues are still the same. Just because now he has a label, it's not, it's stamped as someone who's not going to make any improvement or not going to progress. What's also important to remember is that he needs help to communicate, to calm down, to play and learn, and he'll need you as his advocate. So, so we have a big responsibility on our hands here. Love and hope are going to just make you move across those stages faster. Just believe in yourself and your love for your child. Know for sure that no one, yeah, his dad maybe, but no one else loves him like you do. No one knows him like you do. You've been there through all those nights when he couldn't sleep. You know the little things he likes or doesn't like and what makes him just break down. So even when you get a specialist, they'll be asking you those questions. So for now, you are the expert. And no one has more vested interest in his future than you do. And you got what it takes to help your child. Don't ever think that, someone can do it because he has an educational background or a medical background or has enough money, has enough support. No matter what the circumstances, if you are in this situation, you have this ability to just keep yourself afloat and work it out. And you and your child will be okay. I guess there were times when I wished I could just hear that, like I felt I was there. So some of the things that if someone reaches out with this diagnosis, as if you are a family member, a community helper, if you could just say some of those things to this mom and dad, that you'll be fine, your family will be okay, there's help available, and you're not alone. So always, I've talked about 1 in 54 kids. That means that many moms and dads are there. So you're definitely not alone. This number has grown. It'll be great if you can connect with another autism mom and dad. With this number, it won't be that hard to find another person. Maybe there's someone in the family or friends already that you've heard of, and you have a bit of a connection, but now connect with them with this news. They might be your biggest emotional support. There are support groups almost everywhere now in communities. If you can't find a local one, then maybe in a state or a national level, or it doesn't matter now, the virtual world, you can connect with people anywhere. It's gotten so easy. So please make that effort to connect with others. So acceptance is the upward turn of reconstruction, and pain will subside if it's intense at this point, and your focus, so this is natural, it's going to happen, your focus will get better, your sleep will improve, and you will be ready to move forward, unless you keep thinking about why did this happen to me. So you have to sort of keep a bit of a control of our mind here and accept the new ways of life, because this life that now you're entering will be a little different. It's not at all bad, just different. And accepting that what plans I had before might not work now, and we have to sort of start thinking about what to do now. And you don't have to plan it all out, just stay with the future with just a little bit of goals for the next little bit. So while you're still dealing with these emotions, you can still work on a couple of things here. And these are also included in the very first session that we had. So you can check it out there too. So I guess I sort of went very quiet, and that helped improve our interaction, because I knew my son was highly sound sensitive, but I was still trying to talk to him. And that's not going to be like if this child doesn't have that strong sound sensitivities, you don't have to stop using the language, but use short sentences and phrases, like words and phrases, use gestures, offer choices. If in your household, like most of the Pakistanis, they are dual language users, try to stick to one language. Try to talk in English, because it's easier. We have all those resources, books, all the stuff. It'll be less confusing for him, and he'll be able to pick it faster. I just want to acknowledge that I usually use the pronoun he, but I do mean for the girl as well. It's just I'm used to, because I have a son, I guess. So other two things that you can do, and this is even when you are not even gotten the diagnosis, this child, or any child for that matter, has appetite and sleep issues, then what can you do around the nutrition? Small snack size meals, multiple meals, finger food. Just see that the snacks are okay, but switch them with more healthy foods as much as you can. And then having iron and calcium, checking with your doctor. A lot of kids have deficiencies for these two. So not everyone, but just if he's been a picky eater, just have this checked out. And the other thing is a decrease in the levels also affects the sleep. So having that figured out would be helpful. And more than half of kids with the diagnosis of autism have ADHD, and they are hyperactive. They like to run around, which is a good thing. Give them a lot of chances to be active, to be outdoors. That will add the fatigue factor that could help them with the sleep. Once with the acceptance is there, your next step would be, you'll want to know what autism is, collect information around it. You would be connected with some health professionals. Maybe you're looking into early intervention strategies, or you're connecting with the therapist or child development center. They would provide you with some literature. Some provides you with binders full of literature. Then there are autism websites, and there are support groups and services. The fact of the matter is that before there was less information. Now there's too much information. And you have to be a bit selective, not overload yourself, not overwhelm yourself. Just pick one or two areas for the information, and just study that instead of every second website, and because a lot of those don't even have the approval. And some people share stuff that's not helpful at all. Now, I wish I could say that your year is going to be smooth, but usually there are lots of disappointments in the first year. It could come from the professionals, because you could ask all those questions, or you want some answers and there are no answers, or there's no definite direction. Friends and families they just want you to sometimes get over it and move on with the life, but your life is going to be different. Some can make remarks that are going to be hurtful. Overall, the child can have meltdowns outdoor, somewhere in the grocery store when you're out, and people will give you all those looks. Lot will be happening, and you've already are in a bit of a fragile state. So the good thing you can't avoid. That's how it is right now. And the thing is, it's been like that. It's just because now we are on the other side of the picture. We are starting to feel those naps. See, there have always been people with disability, people with autism. We didn't know. Maybe we made sometimes remarks that were not too very sensitive at times. So we are on the other side and we feeling all that. But you can channel that anger and worry constructively. And that's probably my biggest message. And that's why I connect with parents to ask them to work and play. The family dynamics change. So it might seem that, you know, as a mother, you are feeling the most of the stress and what's needed to be done, which could be true too. But the whole family feels it, and it negatively influences the general well-being of everyone involved. And remember, everyone expresses their feelings differently. So, and they take different time to process it. So that's very important to remember. So not to expect everyone to jump up and start running soon after the diagnosis, because some people can take more time. So play to relax. It's not just going to be good for the child, it'll be good for you too. I'm not going to go into much detail because this has been definitely discussed at large in other sessions, but just having sensory toys and quietly playing with your child, spending more time with him. If you are still trying to get the diagnosis, or you got the diagnosis and waiting for enrolling your child into child development center, or are in any of those wait lists, this work and play even has more important than because remember, the early intervention, it doesn't have to be done through the specialist and therapist. You got it and you can do it. So don't worry, don't wait for others to jump in. If some areas might not even have the specialist, some are still waiting for a diagnosis, but they can see all those signs and are worried about it. And say you got your child into CDC and the programs are there. If you play and work, you can still supplement the program, and it'll help build relationship with your child. It'll improve it, and it'll help you when you want to advocate on his behalf. So you don't have to do it all like too much time to it. It could be just 15 minutes of blocks, just some sensory play with the fidgets. And all the kids, they like those big sensory bins filled with water or rice or sand. Or you can put in pasta. If this child he tends to put things in his mouth, his pica, then I used to use edibles more. And if it's messy, then you can take those bins, set it up in the backyard. So 15 minutes could be the one-on-one where you're assisting him to help, and then if he wants to continue to play, that's what he does with his time, and you do what you want to do with your time. Another good one is those kids songs. Like my favorite one is probably Here's the Way I Brush My Teeth. So I used to have my son on my lap. We would have it running on the TV with the closed captions, and I'll take his hands and I help him copy what the child in the screen is doing. And you can have a little brush, and you can help him comb his hair, and even so you can pick 2-3 songs, or head, shoulder, knees and toes could be another one. And there are tons of pick 2 or 3 and repeat those every day till you see a little bit of initiation on child's part where he starts making those actions. Then outdoor, like going on a swing or trampoline, or if he knows how to ride a tricycle. Pick one daily routine. If it is practicing hand wash, or don't do too much. And in these 15 minutes blocks, you can like it's an hour spread over the day, so it's not too much, right? And then what does your child like to do? Does he like tickles or a peekaboo or just a big hug from you? That part is just so important for building the connection. Doing this will redirect your focus. You wouldn't be looking back at why this happened or what am I going to do when he's will he be able to go to the college, or those big questions. The positive results will definitely, they are so so rewarding. It just pulls you out of all those negative feelings. You will you're the person who your other kids look up to, your husband looks up to when it comes to kids and their behaviors and little things. So, and maybe you weren't feeling so confident before, but your confidence will just come rushing back, and you can be a role model for them. And always know that you know your child the best. Just look at his cues and build the direction based on that. I always recommend these 2 books. These are very easy to read. They talk about all the different stages that the child might be stuck at, and special points at what to do at that point, and how you can make some work routines using simple bins about sorting things. And so tons of information, but simple steps and very doable. Don't expect to change over a day. Let it be a gentle slide and growth for yourself and your child. So even if you start thinking about just 15 minutes a day, and then add another 15 minutes, and make a little change in how you are interacting. Because I'm trying to talk from experience of what I've done, and I wish I had done it differently. It is, like we say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you try to do too much and think, it'll be, if I put this much energy, 2 years, he'll be fine, he'll be cured. There are some issues. He will definitely come to a point, and then there will be some issues with age that you'll see pop up. So not trying to discourage you, but just saying, do not burn yourself trying too much, and see who you can find to assist you in your work, and have a bit of a team building thing happening. Some friends and families will be calling, checking in on you, asking if, and asking all those questions. If it's been a bother and you rather that they didn't do it, a good way is ask them to help you out in one of those work sessions. If they're sincere, they'll ask more and they'll try to learn and join you. If not, they'll step back. It's a very good time to really know who your real friends are. And then you can have some hired help, but you can also find some graduate students who are looking to do some hours of work. And, so you can, if you know the work and play, you can easily train other people. Siblings of the child with a disability, and not just with autism, with any disability, they are more mature and responsible. They are well adjusted as children and adults, and they are more tolerant and compassionate. Remember, they're learning while they were young what we learn as moms and dads. So their learning happened very early on, and that makes them who they are. They become problem solvers from early age. They are also career oriented. A lot of them choose fields because they want to make a difference and they want to help their brother or others like their brother and sister. So they are just lovely kids, but they might be worried and anxious. So, and they know more than you think, even the young ones, 4 or 5 years old. They can tell if something's wrong, if there's tension in the house, which is there after the diagnosis, even before and after, and like the years of disappointments that come. They know if their parents have been worried, and they can tell if their sibling is delayed and something's wrong. And it's okay. You don't have to overprotect them, overshadow them. You can just tell them in few words, like what's happening with your brother. This is the diagnosis. He will learn, but he'll learn in a different way. And you know what? He's lucky that he has a big brother or a sister like you. So acknowledge if they have any fears, if they are opening up to you, or acknowledge those, but also try to share on your own what you're doing, what you've learned, just according to their age. Like you might have some younger kids, and you might have some older ones. They all can be his peer role models. If there's a kid who's maybe working for his exam, you don't have to always ask him to look after your brother. You just have to be also cognizant that we don't ask too much out of them. They are still kids and growing up. There might be a younger one who's eager to help and is observing a lot. And he or she could be a great role model, especially when you're trying to teach some play skills. And you can give some specific roles, like if you have, say, 3 kids, one has a diagnosis of autism, you can have figure out some roles, and you can switch those roles for the siblings over time too. So you might have heard me talk about the interaction. I think a little bit I did just now too. What should be the tone and pace, the amount of language that we use, give them choices. How do we give instructions, and do we talk around the interests or not? To be honest, those are some of the things that I actually learned from my elder son, who's only 16 months elder. And I could see that I'm trying so hard to make that connection. But there was this natural connection between the brothers. And I picked some of the things that he was doing from there too. So like I say, they know, and we can learn from anyone who's ahead of us. And though this part is hard, they don't usually play along. So that needs to be sort of done in a certain way. We can build an interaction based on an activity and teach them turn taking. I used to have my younger one on my lap, and I'll hold his hand so he's not too fast. Like my way of teaching him for the turn taking was, my other son sitting opposite to us, and it could be a simple activity like matching a card to an object, and he'll do that, and then he'll say, your turn, and then I let go of his hand so that he could do that bit of matching. So that's how we did the turn taking. Like he had to learn to wait for the other person. For kids who are more able cognitively, it won't be that hard. You can just have little cards saying turn taking, and you can pass it to the person whose turn it is, pass it back and forth. It could start with a 2 minute of activity. It could set the base of that sibling shared activity time, and then you can have that replaced with a peer. One thing we have to be careful about is if the child with autism is having meltdowns and is aggressive, then it's really important that we give the space to or other kids where they can be safe. So, even if they have seen that happen, they will be feeling very confused. And it's a good idea to share it with the teacher and have them in some sort of a sibling group. So SIB shops are the sibling support groups. They are, if you are in states in Canada, then they are almost in every community now. But it could be something that.
I think you got muted by accident. We
Oh,
can't hear you. Hello?
okay.
We lost you maybe around 15 seconds ago.
It doesn't say mute.
Yep, we can hear you now.
Yeah, you can. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's no problem. Thank you.
Okay. So, is it still good?
Yes, it's good now. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Look for the SIB shops. I hope you can find one in your own community. You would be able to if you are in States or Canada. If not, we didn't have it when my kids were growing up, and I could see the need of that for my son. So I asked the school teacher if the kids who have a sibling with a diagnosis, they could just have maybe half an hour of time once a week to get together and talk. And even that was helpful. So that's how you can initiate it if it's not there. This is usually facilitated by an adult who will have some activity-based discussions, and it helps kids. It gives them healthy how to deal with their feelings in a healthy way, and it all the issues we want to handle them as they come and not build it up to a later age where it can lead into anxiety and depression. Somehow my screen is frozen. It's not moving.
Oh, it might be your actual computer if your side is frozen.
Yeah. And I really don't know, should I stop sharing and share again?
Yeah, try to stop sharing and then see.
And if I can't do that, then I'll sort of just continue to talk, and I just maybe take it.
Yes, no problem.
Anymore. Yeah. It had to happen for this one, huh? Let's see.
Maybe that's a sign that you need to come back for more.
Okay, yeah, it's persisting, so I guess I'm just gonna stop sharing and we'll do probably the rest without. It could be just one more. No. Sorry, guys. So I'll have to just, I guess now you'll have to see more of my face instead of the PowerPoint. I will try sharing the PowerPoint with you and maybe it could be used as a link. So that's actually, I was going to talk about my booklet BC. It's a resource which is available on Family Support BC site, and I'll even put a link in the chat. So it is a booklet that you can make about your child. It talks about the supports and needs. It doesn't talk about anything. It'll talk about what you put into it. So it's, you will be the editor. You can set an account, make a booklet, put all the pertinent information in there. It can be shared with the medical staff, with family, friends. So it's not just about the diagnosis. It talks about your child as a whole, what he likes to do, what he needs help with. And you can initiate it by asking your other kids to make a book. So that's what I was going to say. Ask your kids to make a book with My Booklet BC, share it with your child, and help him make a book for him. And you can put in the pictures in there. I actually don't like that I can't share it. I'm at the end, I'll take you to the website and see if I can have another way to access that. So with one account, you can make up to 10 booklets. And it could be a good way of providing information to anyone. Sometimes people ask a lot of questions. It's very hard to repeat. It brings back some of the same negative feeling that you had at the time of the diagnosis. If you have that booklet, it'll be just much easier. And then you can share it as a PDF. You can email it to others as well. So it's important to remember that my last section was about dads. So they take time to process the information. And it could be very frustrating sometimes to think that, told him this so many times, he's still not processing it, he's still not getting it. I'll tell you some of the things that are happening. Dads in the family, they think of themselves, and they are the protectors, and they want to fix things right there and then. Their love for the family is humongous, but it's different from a mom's love. And the reason then that they can't do anything, and they can see that you're hurting and the kids are not well, it gets too hard for them to handle overall. But it doesn't mean that they are not doing anything. They are probably looking at the bigger picture and thinking more about the financial works that will be required, what would be required long term. So the things that you are not thinking, they are thinking. So it's really important not to take out your negative feelings on each other. Too many families I've seen split apart because of this. If there are two people who love the most this child, it's you and your husband. And even though he's not looked at all those books and research and knows in depth, he is very natural in his approach with the child, and that has its major benefits. The confidence that the child and the security and the confidence that child gets just being with his dad, it's enormous. They, by habit, they talk less and they connect deeply. They do, even if they don't say it. And a child is intuitive and he can see it and he can connect, and that is there. So I wasn't always this wise. So just take my word. It's hard sometimes to remember all that when you are in the moment. The connections are going to develop anyways, and more than giving them time, what you can also give is to your family is snippets of the positives of your day, of what you did and what positive came out and what happened, little directions. If you see that, more time has passed and probably dad is, he's keeping still at a very overworking and still not over it, tell him about the support groups. Tell him he's not the only one. There are 1 in 54 kids, so there are that many dads. And there are now, the support group started with more moms being in there. I conduct 5 Zooms that are around autism in a week. And then majority are moms. There's once or twice you see a dad in there, and we always go and appreciate and tell, it's so great that you joined. But now we have all dads support groups and all, because honestly, the dads then say, will you women all sometimes stop talking so we can get in? Like, you tell us we don't say anything, but so, they could be very right about that. So please join the dad groups then. Some beautiful things that have come out, and this is for a savings scheme that's there for kids who have a disability. It's called RDSP in Canada. That was dad's idea. And through that, we're able to save up to 90,000, just making teeny tiny contributions. And so it's a government approved fund now. So, they, what they do, just repeating that what they do is remarkable, and they do need to be told that as well. I wanted to share also a poem. It's not a poem, it's actually an essay. It's called Welcome to Holland. Some of you might have heard of it. It was written in 1987 by an American author and social activist. Her name is Emily Perry Kingsley. It's about having a child with a disability. She was asked to write a piece that could be used to with moms who have gotten a new diagnosis. And originally it was for a child with the Down syndrome, but it's been used over and over by different organizations. It's definitely been used by Family Support Institute. I don't have it in front of me. It was one of the slides, so I'll just tell you a little bit that she talks about in there is that when we are anticipating birth of a child, it's like, we're planning a trip to Italy, and we get the flyers, we get the brochures, we check out the sites, we're making the plans, we're really excited. And the day of our flight, when we are just about to arrive there, the stewardess says, there was a change of plan, and we have landed in Holland. And you say, what? I waited all my life for this. And I've learned a few words of Italian. I knew where I wanted to go. That was the plan. Well, sorry, there's been a change of plan. So now we have this child, which we hadn't planned. No one plans to have a child with a disability. We have him. Now what's to be done? So we get off. It's time to learn a new language, check new sites, meet new people. And you know what? You keep thinking this, I was supposed to be in Italy. And there are people who are going to Italy and coming back and bragging about it. And every time that happens, you get that twinge and you say, oh, that's where I was supposed to be. And here I am. But if you actually pay attention, there are lilies there are windmills there, there's a lot of beauty. And it's definitely different, but maybe it's in time, you'll see that it's better. But if you keep thinking, why didn't I get to go to Italy? You'll never actually enjoy the beauty of Holland. So you have to make that intentional shift to just go over the bridge to the other side. And in my last slide was a picture of a young family where the family is together and they're playing. So my thing was that maybe you have a few of those pictures, but then there's a grown-up family which is really tightly connected. And how many families growing out in the West you see where other kids don't move too far away? They make their careers and find to stay closer, and that unit is stronger and closer because of the child and because of the diagnosis. And sometimes there are blessings in disguise that we don't see until they're actually there. So have faith in that. Yeah.
That's excellent. And I agree with everything that you said. I think there is a little. Ali, do you hear that? Okay. So I'll start with my questions. The first question that we have is, my husband is not accepting my daughter's diagnosis and keeps saying that there's nothing wrong with her. What should I do?
Well, I think we did talk about this. It's again, when he says it's nothing wrong, he's absolutely correct. It's not wrong, it's different. So your daughter is perfect as she is. She just needs to learn and to communicate. And maybe if you say it this way to him, that she is capable, but we have to find things for her and play with her differently and find ways to help her communicate and get better at school and in life. Maybe he'll be a little bit more open and share the things that she's able to do, just with a positive picture. The picture of autism has been painted so negative, and when you say, there's no diagnosis, no cure, sometimes it gives you the thinking that the meltdowns that he's having are going to last forever. This situation is going to last forever, and that's what's hard to accept. So maybe say she's neurodiverse. That's what we are using the word more for ADHD, for the kids who have invisible disabilities that we can't see. So being different is not bad at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's no fun being ordinary, by the ordinary, and you can be extraordinary.
Yeah.
My eldest son, who's 10 years old, gets upset that I'm not fair and favor his brother with autism more. What should I tell him?
Well, I once, I like to say that I really commend that you have this open. He found it safe enough to come and say that to you, that he's not keeping those feelings inside him and he's coming out and saying it, which is great. Tell him about his autism. Tell him why you are spending more time. Ask his do an activity-based thing that they can do together. But also try to spend 15 minutes of your time with your elder son. Ask him what he would like to do. Is it reading a book, any play, or he just wants to say something? Whatever he wants to say, let him say that. Just acknowledge. Never judge him for speaking out his feelings. That will help him not keep it inside and later have too many of those stuffed in and coming out as anxiety. So an age appropriate books are there for the siblings that you can easily find in the library. Check with the librarian, give him something to read. This could also be talked to the teacher so she can explain a little bit to him too.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ijaz, last question. Can I join your parent support group from the States or Pakistan?
Yes, it is actually not a group. It is, we have some online events that happen that are for support group discussions. And it could be around certain themes or could be open, and you can definitely join those. We don't really meet as parents together, but parents can call in for one-on-one support, which is more for the BC parents. But I don't think that they've ever refused anyone. The thing is that the information that we have is local. It is for BC. So if someone from states would call, it's good if they want to connect with other on an online event, connect with other parents and help hear them talk, and they can have a discussion there. That would be great. But if it comes to around the information and referrals, then we would have no idea of what's happening in your place of residence.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ijaz. We can't thank you enough. We will continue our discussion with you, and let's see what else we can do in our next session on autism awareness. But all the information that you've given is highly appreciated, not just by me, by all our members. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the chance of letting me do this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.